Hi, this is Erik Linask coming to you from MasterCon 2009 here on day 3 of the show. And I'm here on the show floor with Marcus Graham, CEO of GM Voices. Marcus, thanks for joining me.
Erik, good to see you, buddy.
Start off, tell me a little bit about what GM Voices does.
Well, we're in the voice production business, and we do it specifically for telecommunications applications. And then with what's happening with Asterisk, we got involved in this community because they're really doing some really incredible things in the telecommunications realm. And so the developers are out there. When they create these great applications, they've got to get a voice to make it work, really, to a large degree. And so what we do is we provide a whole stable of voice actors and voice talent that'll come in and do the pre-recorded messages that guide callers when they call into one of the automated applications. So that's our thing.
What are you seeing that's being done differently in the Asterisk and the open source community as opposed to some of the other markets that you've worked in?
Well, the main thing that we see is you've got so many developers working around the clock around the world, and so the improvements to features and benefits and that kind of thing are happening so much quicker. And the thing that we're doing is all this great technology is really powerful in the marketplace. However, if the interface on the automated call end of it is not very effective and good, or just doesn't sound good, it really is a poor reflection on the great programming work that's been done from a plumbing standpoint. So what we do is we'll pick a voice talent or a voice actor that makes sense with that particular company, and then we record all the pre-recorded messages for automated attendant, IVR type applications, so that when the end user who doesn't care anything about the technology calls in, it's a warm and pleasant experience for them. So that's kind of our value proposition in the marketplace.
What goes into picking the right talent or the right voice for a particular customer?
Well, it's interesting you mention that, because it's not really science and it's not really art. It's kind of a combination of the both. So what happens is it's like when you go to a movie. Sometimes the movies have the best talent in the world, but the script didn't work right or some kind of problem, and it wasn't really well received. So ultimately, what we do is once the application is developed, and from a branding standpoint, we try to figure out what's that company's message to the marketplace, what's their value proposition. Then we say, well, this product or the people that are calling in would probably like perhaps a female voice better, or a male voice, depending on the character of the product. And so that's kind of our whole value, is to figure out what kind of voice needs to be speaking on behalf of that company. Now, once you choose the voice, that's only part of the deal. So you have to choose the voice, and then we do the recordings with the scripts. And then what happens with this technology, it's always constantly changing, right? And so what we do is record with the same voices on an ongoing basis. So a month down the road or 2 months down the road, you want to make a change to your application, all you do is email us a script. We have the same voice actor record it, and then we send it to you electronically. So it's a real quick turnaround time when you're making changes to the application.
What are some of the more interesting experiences that you've had?
From a voice talent business, well, I originally wanted to be a voice talent, and in the early days, and I wasn't quite good enough to get hired by the ad agencies and the production companies that started. But the thing I noticed was that the recordings on phones were always kind of bad. And so there weren't really any production companies paying attention to that. So what I started doing is just contacting the telecommunications directors and say, hey, I can make that recording in my studio with my voice or perhaps another voice, and just make it sound more professional. And so that kind of is how we got started. And a lot of times you'll have a company that has perhaps a secretary doing the recordings, and she may be nice and sweet, but ultimately she may not be the best, what we call voice brand, to present that company's message in the marketplace when thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are calling. And but we've seen some instances where they sound great. Sometimes it works, but more often than not, it's really better to have a professional. But in answer to your question, there's all kind of crazy stories. A lot of people want to be voice talent, and we deal with them all the time. We do auditions regularly. They come in and audition, and following direction is real key. So a lot of times they think they're following direction. You say, hey, could you say that a little slower and a little warmer right here? And they go, okay, yes. And then they read it again, but they read it just like they did before. So being a voice actor has a whole, probably a little checklist of things you got to be good at to be able to do on an ongoing basis, and it's really hard. It looks easy, but it's a craft that it's amazing to watch these guys work. We'll have them come in and record, 1,000 messages, and not make many mistakes. It's just it's pretty fascinating to watch.
Excellent. Sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's good.
We've been talking here at AstroCon 2009 with CEO of GM Voices, Marcus Graham. Marcus, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, certainly.